Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian McCollum, and I'm here today at the Springfield Armory National Historic Site, a museum comprising the old grounds and collection of the U.S. Springfield National Armory. This was one of the main U.S. armories for, well, basically the entirety of the existence of the U.S. up until the late 1960s. And it was involved in doing a lot of research and analysis on captured German weapons during and after World War II. And we're taking a look today at a piece that we have basically no information on, but there are pictures out there. People, I think some of you definitely are going to recognize this. And while I basically can't tell you anything about it, it's worth showing because this is a gun that exists and is in the common recognition. So what we are pretty sure we know about this is that it was made by the Knorr Bremse company. Now, I have a separate video out there on one of Knorr Bremse's machine guns. That's the one gun that it actually really put into production, which is also very rare, very unusual. It's a neat gun with a neat history. I can't even be 100% sure that this is a Knorr Bremse product. It's labeled as such in the Springfield Armory catalog, but we don't know where that came from. The original accession of this gun into Springfield's collection isn't documented. We don't know exactly where it came from. It almost certainly came out of, well, just from the characteristics, we know this came out of late World War II Germany, but we don't know exactly where. Was this at a factory that was captured? Did it come off the Mauser train? Springfield has a bunch of the late war German Mauser prototypes that came off the famous Mauser train. I have a whole video, by the way, if you don't know what I mean by the Mauser train, I have a video on the Mauser train. Check the description below for a link to that video. It's a cool story. Anyway, this is allegedly Knorr Bremse, and then it is allegedly an FG42 prototype. But even that is a little bit weird because Knorr Bremse was not one of the companies that was actually invited to participate in the original FG42 program. There were 6 companies that were, only 2 of them actually submitted prototypes. Those were Rheinmetall and Krieghoff, and Rheinmetall got chosen. Knorr Bremse wasn't involved, and yet this rifle is pretty clearly built around the FG42 specifications. It's within the overall length requirement, which is hard. It has the FG42 had to be no longer than a Kar 98K, despite being semi-automatic. It has the side-feeding magazine like the FG42s did. It reeks of FG42, and yet the company didn't participate in that program. In fact, there is no missing FG42 prototype because we know the 2 companies that actually submitted them, and we know we know the guns. We've seen the guns from both of those companies. All right, but let's take a closer look. Let me at least show you what you can see on the real thing here that you can't see in the pictures that are out there. All right, so the photos that survive online are just profile pictures that show you the side. So we can go in a little more detail than that. Let's start at the front. We have a muzzle device that has 2 rows of holes all the way around it, and then sort of a scoop at the front. Nice tall front sight post. The front sight is integral in the front sight post, not adjustable. See, it's sort of there's a blade inside there. There you go. Not adjustable, just one stamped element all welded together there. We have this front end cap held in place by a pin that includes a sling bar on this side. I can remove that pin. There's not much in here to show you, but we might as well do it. This is a pretty tight piece. There we go, that comes off. And you have clearly a gas block and a probably short stroke piston. Unfortunately, this is missing a lot of its internal components, so we don't have the bolt or carrier, but there's your gas block. We have a top element of the receiver that's spot welded onto a lower portion. This is all stamped and fairly sophisticated stamping. You've got your charging handle here on the left side. It is a non-reciprocating charging handle because we have this little latch in it pull that latch out, we can slide it back, and you can see there's a notch in the charging handle track that locks it in place in the forward position, which suggests that this is used to cock the action, but then doesn't reciprocate when firing. We've got a milled section here, a piece of milled metal acting as the rear sight block, welded onto the stamped receiver. Perhaps the most interesting thing about this that you can see here, but not in the photos, is the top of the barrel extension, which has these two vertical holes drilled in it, which to me suggests that this would be a roller locked action, similar to the FG42, where you could drop rollers in there and they could come in and move out to lock and unlock. But all of those elements are missing from the gun. All we have to work on is the barrel there. There's this guy. Not sure exactly what that was holding in place. There's some sort of top cover element here that's missing. We flip this back over. We have a side-mounted magazine well, magazine catch on the back. It is definitely 8mm Mauser length. This is not an 8mm Kurtz gun. We've got a hammer spring and fire mechanism back here. There was some sort of bottom cover on this that is also missing. Presumably, perhaps there was a wooden stock covering much of the back end of the gun here, like on the FG42. All of that is also missing. We've got a pistol grip stamped with reinforcements on the inside. This is FG42-like. This was a technique they did on the FG42 fire control grips. Wooden grip panels on there. We've got a cross pin that holds the grip assembly on. So it's two pins. You've got an inner and an outer pin with the sort of wire keeper. I tried taking that out. It's pretty well seized in place, and I don't want to break this thing, so I left that in place. The trigger is also pretty well seized up. We have what appears to be a selector lever right here, also not in great shape. Yeah. Again, I'm a little nervous to do a whole lot to this thing because I don't want to damage it. And then the rear end of the receiver, clearly something slotted up that direction. And it's, of course, missing whatever presumably wooden buttstock element it originally would have had. A couple other little elements we can see. There is something in, there's a component here inside the bottom of the action that has what looks like a sear catch there, maybe. A little hard to say for sure. And you can actually see the hammer right there on the inside. That is in the fired position. And it looks like it wasn't hardened because it looks like it's been dimpled by a firing pin or something. This is definitely not a finished product. Just off to the side of the hammer right there is the ejector. And there you go, that's all we got. No visible markings that I was able to find. In theory, the German ordnance code for Knorr Bremse is CSM. I couldn't find a CSM marking anywhere on this or any other markings of any other kind. All right, so what was it? We don't really know. Late war attempt by Knorr Bremse to replace the FG42, perhaps. That's a dumb idea, but German small arms, late World War II, had a lot of dumb ideas, so it's not implausible. The stamping on it is relatively sophisticated, more so than I would suspect for an early war gun, like an original FG42 period prototype, but makes sense perhaps for a late war gun. Who knows? Your guess is as good as mine, but I thought it was definitely worth filming this to show you some of the details that can't be seen from the archival photographs that are circulating online. So a big thanks to Springfield for giving me the opportunity to pull this out of their reference collection and show it to you guys. There is an awesome museum here that has a great display of US military small arms in particular, including a whole bunch of unique and interesting prototypes and weird guns. So if you're in Springfield, don't miss a chance to come check out the museum. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.